with Noon Flow. Uh, we'll start in about 5 minutes. Grabbing whatever feels right and good for you, water bottle, your yoga mat, whatever else you might need for a noontime practice. Uh, and we'll get started real soon. And I might fiddle around with the studio here. So just relax, get ready. And that's Josephine. She'll join us.
Sorry, that was not cute at all. I apologize. No Max.
Got a mat.
No one over there. I think they're all outside, so they're probably all gross. That's really funny. It's like a fake piano.
All right, well, let's get semi-started here. Just introducing myself, Mark Cormier. I produce yoga online for the Bay Club. I also do yoga for my own personal feed, and I'm linking up with a company called Modus. I'll post a link every now and then. If you sign up and you're interested, then Modus appreciates that. We're not doing anything right now, so this is just my personal feed, trying to encourage some interest and also just provide some yoga for people who don't get out and do yoga as much as we may have before the virus. Or anyway, so let's get going. So we'll do a flow practice. Yeah, let's make sure we can. All right. So welcome, Josephine. So finding the top of your mat or the top of your rug, wherever you choose to practice this afternoon. Working a wider stance, either for more balance, if you want to challenge that balance. Working a narrower stance, and you can move that throughout the practice. Traditionally, the narrow stance in the Ashtanga yoga with a small a would be big toes touch, heels slightly apart. And that's a good way to connect with your center. But having said that, if that's not where you are right now, finding a stance that's comfortable for you. From our feet, finding our legs. From our legs, finding our spine. I invite you just to relax those shoulders. A slight tuck of the chin as we bring our hands to our heart. A light press of your thumb against your sternum as you line up each finger. I'll invite you to soften your eyes, perhaps closing your eyes. And just taking 3 or 4 breaths just to watch your breath as it flows in and out. As we arrive here on our yoga mats or yoga carpet, whatever surface you're practicing on, for a noontime yoga practice. Now, from this place of just observing your breath, I'll invite you to shape your breath as you find a long, slow inhalation in, matched by a long, slow exhalation out. As you breathe in, I'll invite you to find a full body breath as you bring air into the base of your belly, the top of your chest, filling up each side waist, filling up both front and back planes of your body. And as you breathe out in this slow practice, I'll invite you to engage the low belly in and up towards the heart as we squeeze a little more air out, also providing structural support for a low back in any of these shapes, in any of these sequences. To this deeper, fuller breath, moving towards the Ujjayi or ocean breath, a slight constriction of the base of your throat to add a slight sound and feel to your breath. And as we flow through our practice this noontime, I'll invite you to let this sound and feel of your breath be a focus for your practice, often compared to the sound and feel of the waves of the ocean as the waves wash in and as the waves wash out. To this Ujjayi breath, I'll invite you to find Jiva Bandha, tip of the tongue to the hard palate just behind the teeth, keeping our jaws relaxed and preventing us from grinding our teeth, which is what many of us, including myself, do sometimes when I'm working hard. Keep that from happening. It doesn't really help in any of these shapes. And then finally, I'll ask you to take the tip of the tongue, of your tongue, to the tip of, to the top, to the hard palate just behind the teeth. So it's hard to see, but I already mentioned that one.
Mm-hmm.
Slight part to the lips as we keep breathing in out. So, no, sorry, a slight smile to the face with the lips closed, opening up the front of your throat. Your breath has lots of room to circulate, refresh, and revitalize. Repetition is the key to memorization. So that's a lame apology for repeating myself there. Keeping all this, hands by our side as we open the eyes if you closed your eyes. Warming up our shoulders, we bring the arms up overhead. Inhale. Exhaling, arms back down. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, arms down. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, arms down. Half sun salutation. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, leading with the heart as we fold. Take a breath to find length as you arc out of the back. On the exhale, we'll fold again as we round the spine. Inhaling, arms out to the side and then overhead. Exhaling, standing tall. 2 more times like this. Inhaling out. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding again. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. 1 more time. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, folding again. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. So Namaskare, I'll suggest we do this first one without vinyasa. Having said that, if you have vinyasa in you, go for it. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. And then on the exhale, grounding on down, and I'll suggest finding your down dog and holding. And I said that if you practiced with me, you know this sequence. Vinyasa is the push-up. Inhaling into the back bend. And exhaling back. To down dog. As we hold down dog, keeping an even breath, watching that breath as it flows in and out, and enjoying that reflection upon your breath. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail end of that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling forward. Inhaling, hands over head pose. Exhaling, standing tall. Second one, much like the first, having said that, I'll cue vinyasa this time. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, finding either your down dog or cycling through your push-up. Inhaling into up dog. You know, kind of tops of the toes, that's it. And then stretching it back. to down dog. As we hold down dog, I'll invite you to bring your attention to your hands, up the space between each finger, finding a particular emphasis between the thumb and the forefinger as we draw the energy up the inseams of the arms. Either keeping your neck relaxed and your head super heavy, or long through all sides of the neck as you look back towards your knee. From down dog, long smooth breath in. Long smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or maybe take a jump high. Take a breath to find it. Exhaling, fold. Inhale, riding the breath up. Exhale, standing tall. Let's do one more Surya Namaskar. We'll add an option into the mix. Inhaling up. Exhaling. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out back to down dog as you will. Either cycling through Vinyasa or stretching straight back. We'll go sideways here. Make sure I'm still on the screen. In our down dog shape, I'll invite you to find down dog hip circles as we circle our hips for 1, 2, and 3. And then taking those down dog hip circles the other way. 1, 2, and 3. Now back to center, holding that for another breath. And then bending your knees ever so slightly, lifting the tailbone just a little bit higher. And then looking between the hands as we step, or maybe take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, fold. Inhaling, hands over head pose. Exhaling, standing tall. I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart, a light press of your thumb against your sternum, either keeping that light press, a light press of the palms as your weight collects in your feet, or adding an isometric engagement. You press the palms together, elbows wide, shoulders engaged. I'll invite you to tuck tail and chin as we find strength in our center. And then hands by our side. So Namaskar B, the second traditional warm-up in an Ashtanga with a small A practice. Finding our chair pose, knees over toes, hands overhead. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up, a little back bend at the top. On the exhale, a big swan dive up. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, back to down dog. As you go, you can find your flow. From down dog, flow style. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Right leg high to the sky, high on the left toes. Looking between the hands, sweeping that right foot on through, landing it lightly as we find our warrior 1, arms up and over the head. And then on the exhale, spinning the palms out, finding low lunge, and from low lunge back to down dog as you will. Take your time, find your flow. From down dog, second side, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Looking between the hands, bringing that left foot on through, landing it lightly as we spin the back foot down, arms up and over the head for warrior 1. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge, and from low lunge back to down dog as you will. Take your time, find your flow. As we hold down dog, I'm going to invite you to bring your attention to the base of your throat. From that place, listening and feeling as your Ujjayi breath flows in and as your Ujjayi breath flows out. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take a jump. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, fold. On the inhale, back to our chair, knees over toes, hands overhead. Exhaling, taking it lower. Inhaling, rising on up. So just a little back bend at the top, open heart, open throat. On the exhale, neutral spine. Let's do one more Surya Namaskar B. We'll add a hip opening sequence into the mix. Inhaling into our chair. Exhaling, taking it lower. Inhaling, rising on up. On the exhale, a big swan dive. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, back to down dog. As you will. Find your flow. From down dog, flow style, big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Right leg high to the sky, high on the left toes. Without overly disturbing the shoulders, lifted leg straight. I'm about you to stack the hips. Now bending that top leg, opening up that hip. And then looking between the hands, sweeping that right foot on through. Spinning the back heel down as we find our warrior one, arms up and over the head. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge. And from low lunge back to down dog, as you will. From down dog, second side, big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Without overly disturbing the shoulders, stacking the hips, lifted leg straight. Now bending that top leg, opening up that hip. And then sweeping that left foot on through. Spinning the back heel down, arms up and over the head for warrior one. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge. And then from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will. We're practicing in our living room here. I'm looking out the window and I'm so excited. I tend to sweep the street, and sometimes it seems like the only one doing it. I'm watching our neighbors sweeping the street. So getting out there and just keeping our communities clean. In yoga, we have something called soka, which is just cleanliness. It's one of the good virtues. So it has to do with our bodies, but also just our space around us. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail end of our breath, looking between our hands as we step or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, fold. On the inhale, finding our chair pose. Exhaling, taking it lower. Inhaling, rising on up. On the exhale, hands by our side, neutral spine. As we bring hands to our heart. And again, either keeping a light press of the palms as your weight gathers in your feet, or adding that isometric engagement as we connect with the strength in our center. And then hands by our side. One of my faves, I've borrowed it, what we say in yoga or in movement, from Twyla Tharp, who's a great, great dancer. Anyway, she wrote a wonderful book. I'm not going to tell you the title now, but
It's called Keep It Moving.
Keep it moving. Yeah, anyway, so stepping or jumping our feet hip width apart, which is good advice when you start to get a little too talky in a yoga video. Inhaling, arms out to the side. On the exhale, we're going to bend the knees and cross the hands to the front. Inhaling. Now switching across. This is so fun. I could do this all day long.
It does.
Let's do it a couple more times. One more time, you say. And then back up. Hands by our side. And then just for fun, I'll invite you to jump it in. Thin like a pin. So squeeze the inner thighs together. From here, left hand goes down left hip. Right hand up and over. Let's keep squeezing those thighs together. Take the hips out of the equation as we take a side bend to the left. Holding that for a couple of breaths. Now letting your next inhale bring us through center. Right hand by right hip, left hand up and over the head. And squeezing those thighs together as we take a side bend the other way. Just holding, breathing into those ribs, finding more space in our thoracic spine, that mid-back region. Inhaling through center. Let's do it a couple more times each way. Exhaling into the side bend. Inhaling through center. Second side, exhaling into the side bend. And then one more time each way. Inhaling through center. Exhaling into the side bend and holding. Inhaling through center. Exhaling into the side bend and holding. And then inhaling, back center. From here, just for fun, let's step or jump it up, hip width apart. Another dance style exercise, soft knees. On the inhale, we're going to bring the arms up and over the head, a little bit of a back bend. On the exhale, just let it go as we push it out through the mouth. And you say, "Oh, it's so fun, I could do a lot of these." And a couple more. Last one. And hands by our side. Woo. From here, let's shift weight onto right foot. We're going to move towards a standing half lotus as we bring our left ankle on top of the right thigh. As if we're sitting down in an invisible chair, sitting on down. Either keeping hands on hips, or we bring hands to heart. Either keeping hands on heart or stretching hands high to the sky. Either keeping our gaze down to the ground, off to the horizon, or up to the sky, with a steady yet relaxed. From here, sweeping hands out to the side, they come back to the hips. But straighten the standing leg, we can lift this left thigh high, the toe points down. And allow you to lean a little bit forward as you draw energy into your center of balance. And then we go long together. Lifting that leg a little higher. And let's flex the foot as we sweep the foot through, lining up the heels. I don't know if you can see that. Yes. So let's back up just a little bit. Try to see those lined up heels. That's the traditional stance for Warrior One. The heels connect in an invisible line. Going a little longer in the stance if appropriate for your legs this afternoon. From here, we can bring hands onto our shoulders, squaring the shoulders front, and also just reminding our shoulders to stay relaxed. From here, finding a clasp of the fingers, bringing the fingers behind the back of the head. As you press the head into the hands, open heart and throat, fourth and fifth chakra, community and communication. And then stretching those hands high to the sky. With the breath, gathering up the energy, and exhaling as we offer it out. As we gather up the energy, the palms face back, almost like you're pulling silk threads. Exhale. Let's do that one more time, breathing in and breathing out. Now holding this letter W shape in our Warrior One for another breath. Let's bring the elbows back, the hands come with. I'll invite you to wiggle those fingers as we keep our hands supple. From here, let's bring hands to heart as we open up the hips. I'll invite you to kick that back foot in just a tad for heel to arch alignment as we find our Warrior One. Looking out over those front fingers with a steady yet relaxed gaze. From here, I'll invite you to paint rainbows. The palm faces back, back hand finds back thigh. Exhaling Warrior Two. A couple more times. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Now holding our Warrior Two, another breath. And we'll transition to Trikonasana. Thumb and forefinger find crease of hip and base of rib. Deepen that crease, lengthen those ribs as we move towards our triangle. Grounding bottom hand down on shin. I'll invite you to line the thumb up with the shin bone to open up that bottom shoulder. We can set the top shoulder. We can stretch that hand high, either looking down to the ground, off to the side, or up to the sky, with that steady yet relaxed gaze. As we hold this shape with every breath in, as the diaphragm stretches down towards the navel, finding your center of balance and gathering energy in that place. And then as the diaphragm on the exhale domes up to the heart, sending that energy out through two arms, two legs, both ends of your spine. From here, let's move it towards a half moon. Very specific steps here. I'll make sure we're both in the frame. Top hand finds the hip. We bend the front knee. We step the back foot in. We ground the hand first. So right hand well off to the right. We've got a hand and 2 feet on the floor. Shifting weight into front foot and grounded hand. We lift back, leg back foot is flexed. We open up that shoulder. We stretch hand high, either looking down off to the side or up to the sky with that mixture of effort and ease. Awesome. You can always bring hand back to the hip. Again, as we hold this shape, as we breathe in, as the diaphragm stretches down towards the navel, we gather energy in our center of balance, 3 fingers below. As we breathe out from that center of balance, getting bigger in space, longer through 4 limbs, longer through both ends of the spine. In our transitions, we don't want to hurry, and there's no rush at all. You can always catch up, especially if you're, whether you're working at home or in a studio, you can always catch up. Or not, really up to you, it's your practice. To come down, we want to keep foundation the whole time. So hand finds the hip. We bend the standing leg. We ground the back foot. Now we come back to 2 feet down with one hand in front. From 2 feet down, we come back to our warrior 2. From here, the back arm swings up and over the head. Front arm swings back by the hip as we windmill the arms. For low lunge, as hands frame front foot, we spin back heel up and then back to down dog as you will. Take your time. Follow your flow. Let your breath be your metronome. Great thing about our breath, unlike a metronome, which they're wonderful to practice with. But you can maybe start to vary, start to find the little half beats, the little quarter beats, the little eighth beats in between. The swing of that metaphorical arm. From our down dog shape, we're going to move towards our second side. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Oh, actually, right, because we got to do the sequence as we started it from the front. In our down dog shape, a slight bend in the knees as you lift your hips higher. Keeping your hips high as you look between your hands and step. Or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, folding. On the inhale, let's come back to a chair, knees over toes, hands overhead. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. On the exhale, hands by our side. I'll invite you to bring hands to heart. A light press of your palms are adding that isometric engagement as we connect with our center. Just another exercise before we find our second side that I also borrowed from Twyla Tharp. Keep It Moving. Great book. I think you'll start to be able to get it from the library again soon. Also, highly recommended way to procure your books. Having said that, Twyla would probably prefer that you buy it. From here, we're going to step or jump our feet hip width apart. On the inhale, we're going to bring the arms out to the side. On the exhale, we're going to bend the knees and exhale. You might let that exhale come out of the mouth. Again and again and again. You might give your wrists a little shake as you come through center. Couple more each way. One more each side. And then back up. And hands by our side. From here, let's soften the knees. Let's lean a little bit forward. Let's bring our hands onto our shoulders. And just rolling one shoulder front and then the other. No specified breath pattern here. Warming up the ancillary muscles of respiration, keeping it loose, keeping it liquid. And then we can take those asymmetrical shoulder rolls the other way. Again, no rush. And then back to center. And standing tall, feel free to do this along with me. Ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. Ears, shoulders, hips, over heels. Do one more breath exercise before we find that second side. I'll invite you to make 2 fists with the hands. We can soften the knees. We can bring our fist to our center of balance, 3 fingers below the navel. On the inhale, we trace a line from that place through the heart. A little bit of a back bend as we open up the palms of face to sky, exhaling out through the mouth. Let's do 6 of these. Halfway down. the last one. And then hands by our side. Moving towards that standing half lotus, second side, hands find the hips. We shift weight onto our left foot. I'm going to go a little bit out of the frame here so you get a nice view of Josephine. We're going to take that ankle, we're going to bring it on top of the thigh. We're going to sit down in an invisible chair, hips move down at a constant rate, also the same rate. Hands find the heart. We stretch those hands high, either looking down to the ground, off to the horizon, or up to the sky with a steady neck relaxation. From here, we can bring hands, we can circle them out to the side as we bring them to our hips. We straighten the stranded leg, we lift that right thigh high, the toe points down, leaning a little bit forward as we go long through the leg. Soft point to the toe. Lifting that leg a little higher. I'm going to allow you to flex the foot as we sweep that foot through. Finding our warrior one prep, hands stay on the hips, lining up the heels. And again, if that's too tippy, feel free to kick that back foot out a little bit. Finding a length of stance that works for you. From here, I'll invite you to switch the cross of the fingers. From here, we bring hands behind the back of the head, pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat. And then keeping open fourth and fifth chakra, community and communication, we stretch those hands high to the sky. And then with the breath, breathing in as we gather up the energy, exhaling as we offer it. And let's do that a few times, breathing in, breathing out. Ask you to do it one more time. Breathing in, breathing out, finding your warrior one with these cactus arms. We bring the elbows back, the hands come with, I'll invite you to wiggle your fingers. And then turning warrior one into warrior two as hands find the heart. We open up the hips. We can kick the back foot in, and then finding one long arm. From here, do we paint rainbows for a side? Yeah. Let's paint rainbows. Back hand finds the thigh, hands up and over. Exhale. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Now we transition to triangle. Is that correct? Thumb and forefinger find crease of hip and base of rib. Deepening that crease, lengthening those ribs. Lining up that thumb with the shin bone to open up that bottom shoulder. You slipped. One of the things about working on a carpet, you have to hug the energy in a little bit more than a yoga mat. Opening up that top shoulder, stretching hand high, either looking down to the ground, off to the side, or up to the sky, with that mixture of effort and ease. Again, as we hold the shape, breathing into your center of balance, inhaling, exhaling from that place of power, getting bigger in space as we connect with everything around us. And that's another part of that fourth chakra, that heart chakra of community. Probably the most important thing to connect with is the people around us. We are humans, we live in a society, so finding that connection through physical movement. From here, we transition to half moon. So again, take your time. I'm going to Josephine through it. Top hand finds the hip. She softens the front knee. She steps the back foot. She wants to ground down through the hand first. Don't be in a rush. When she feels that connection between front foot and front hand, now she can lift that back foot. She can always adjust where that hand is. She can set that top shoulder. She can stretch that hand high to the sky. And again, when she breathes in, finding her center of balance right here. And she breathes out. She gets bigger in space. And finding that connection to everything that's not her. And the most important part of that connection, in my humble opinion, is the people around us. So family, people we see on the street, cleaning up the sidewalk. Might be hard to do in a half moon. When we talk her through it, we come down. So again, no rush at all. People tend to rush the transitions because they're anxious to get to the next place. I'm like that way too. Are we there yet? Take your time. Transitions are the funnest part. Top hand finds the hip. Bend the standing leg. Back foot finds the floor.
What?
I'm going to keep the hand down.
The hand is down.
I start lift up a little bit. And then from 2 feet, finding your warrior two. And then top ham, like we're swimming here, swims up and over, bottom ham swims under. You frame front foot with both hands as we find a little lunge, and then finding our down dog. As you my favorite part of the stretch is when the toes come down. You stretch out that place right here. Feels so good. Especially in a shoe, we tend to have this shape to our foot most of the time. So when you don't have a shoe, you can find that other shape. Good for your ankles, good for your feet. From our down dog shape, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step. Or take a jump. Take a breath to find it. On the exhale, let's fold and change it up a little bit as we toe heel our feet wide. Soft knees as we catch opposite elbows, and then just gently swaying it from side to side. Releasing our hips, relaxing our legs. Now switching the cross of the elbows, keep swaying side to side. And then back to center. Let's bring hands under our thighs for an assisted roll up as we tuck the chin. We masterfully roll ourselves up. Now lifting the chin tall through the crown. Again, I'll invite you to do this along with me. It feels like a kindergarten exercise. Why not? We're all kindergartners at heart. Maybe not. Way back when, we probably all were young, right? Anyway, we did silly things like
What
this.
are you saying?
I don't know. But it's part of your yoga experience.
Okay.
Ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. Ears, shoulders, hips, over heels. From here we can step or jump it in thin like a pin. From thin like a pin, let's play with an interesting exercise here. As we bring hands under our hips, and let's try to keep our legs straight as we circle the circumference of the feet. You pretty much want to keep your hips in line with the knees in line with the ankles, and we're just circling the feet. Almost like a pencil circling its tip. Definitely a good way to connect with your center. And let's take these pencil tip circles the other way. And even try a little less hip here. It's hard.
With less hip?
Less hip, yeah. So it's with more hip, it's easier. So if I'm circling my hips, I'm just doing this.
Oh.
I'm trying to like pretend I'm a pencil.
Oh, like
And
you draw your
everything's in a
body,
straight
right?
line. Yeah. Feel that? Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, it's very different.
Very different, yeah. And then back to center. So maybe let's just give it a shake. Sometimes those exercises need a little shake. Let's work through one more standing sequence. Let's start it with an arm balance. The crow or the crane. I prefer crane. It's a prettier bird, although a crow is a very smart bird. We can start with our chair pose. Knees over toes, hands over head. Taking it lower. Now we're going to find a power chair, the steer's posture, parallel thighs, parallel torso. From here, let's move towards the crane or the crow. And if that arm balance is not for you this afternoon at home, just staying right where you are. This is a great way to develop lots of leg strength. Otherwise, we're going to toe heel the feet out. We're going to ground down through two hands. From here, if your knees can make the armpit, you won't have to work as hard. Most people don't have that deep of a forward fold, so your other choice is to bring the knee onto that arm bone, which might leave a bruise if you're not used to this shape. The other way to do it is to bring the knees outside the arms and hug like crazy, which requires a lot of core strength. So finding a way that works for you, we shift the weight into the hands as we float either one or both feet for the crow or the crane. Nice, beautiful. So Josephine's chosen the hardest physically as she squeezes those upper arms.
The easiest for me.
And we're all different that way. Do you know how to do the jump back?
No.
So you want to just pretend like you're unfolding your body.
Whee!
And that's the beginning of the jump back. A lot of people, when they do the jump back, they really feel like they have to use a lot of force to get those legs back. It's really more you just like unfold your body. Let me go sideways here for probably my one demo. So I'm here, I'm here, I'm here.
I find it's easier to do it with the balance it on your bones.
On the jump back?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Because if it's on your arms, it's like you have to get them past your arms.
And the other thing, in a yoga practice in a hot room, sometimes you get sweaty. That's the one time sweat actually helps, because then the knees just kind of slide off the arms. Anyway, once you find your down dog, and at home, finding your down dog as you will, if you want to cycle through vinyasa, go for it. From here, let's work in a pigeon pose. Now, this pose, or also known as a swan, I prefer the look of a swan to a pigeon. Having said that, you got to respect a pigeon for what a pigeon is. Very adroit and smart scavenger. And if it's not right for you, we'll do it on our back, and I'll demo that after I cue Josephine into the swan or the pigeon. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Right leg high to the sky, high on the left toes. Stacking the hips, bending the leg, opening up that hip. I prefer to teach the swan with a closed knee joint as we sweep right knee to right wrist, keeping the knee joint closed. And you're going to ground down, yeah. And you're going to walk that left foot back as you settle the hips. Again, I want to feel constant rate both sides. I like to unfurl the back foot to stretch out that place where the foot can connect, foot and ankle connect. From here, I want to set the shoulders. So maybe up on the fingertips even. Yeah. Setting your shoulder blades back and down. You want to keep that openness, almost like that same swan dive we do in the sun style, as you put the swan to sleep. So you want to walk your hands forward in extension. So other options here. If arms in extension, forehead doesn't come easily to the floor, you can always cross the forearms. Another choice might be a pair of soft fists. And I wanted to mention one other thing. Oh, and then the other option, if your knee does not want to do this pose, totally cool. Everyone's knees are different. You may have had reconstructive surgery. You might have a brand new knee. You might just have a sore knee. Maybe you're a runner or a bicyclist. The other option is this pose on our back. The weight of the body isn't on the knee. You might even get a different stretch. You will get a different stretch. So we're on our back. We've got this on our back figure four shape. And we can reach through to catch the thigh or the shin. Those of you in this figure four shape, hang out. You can traction a little bit. You might rock it side to side. There's lots of stuff to do. Those of you that chose this version of the pigeon or swan, where the weight of the body is on that bent front leg, I'll invite you to add a twist. So we're going to walk our hands in, and we'll find a parallel forearm on the bent knee side of things. Left arm goes out to the side. We pull back with that forearm as we breathe into our back.
I would feel this mostly in my hamstring.
Which is interesting. I'll have to think about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Which hamstring? Back hamstring?
No, it's that one. Like, I don't feel a stretch in my.
Is it like right here or more?
No, like the inside, like the hamstring.
So your hips may be a little more open than me. For me, I feel it in the hip. I don't feel much in the hamstring at all, which is just a different. Let's keep the flow going though.
Sorry.
That's all good. From here, let's twist it the other way. So we find the other forearm, hand out to the side. We pull back as we twist it out.
I think I don't do it with the neutral normally.
A lot of people like to do it. I personally feel,
Like when I'm twisting
For
now,
teaching
I feel
it-
it more.
yeah, teaching a group class, I like the closed knee joint because it's the safest. And this isn't always the safest pose for people's knees, which is why I offer the on your back option. If you're teaching a bunch of 20-year-olds, 30-somethings who do a lot of yoga, the other option is you go shin, but that's impossible for many people in their 40s and 50s, approaching 60 right here. Now we're going to come back center. We're going to go around down through two hands. We're going to tuck the back toes. We're going to lift that back leg as we find our down dog. We'll give that knee a little shake, releasing any congestion and tightness. And then grounding down through 2 feet, 2 hands, long spine, deep, rich, and full breath. Let me just notice, let me change. Does your right knee feel a little more open? Does it feel a little more sore? I mean, there's lots of ways these shapes can affect our bodies. Moving towards our second side. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Without overly disturbing the shoulders, stack the hips, lift the leg straight. Bending that top leg, opening up that hip. Whoops. Really work those hands. And now you're going to sweep that left knee to left wrist. Keep the knee joint closed, at least in this class. You're going to ground down, take your time. You walk that back leg forward as we settle the hips down. Unfurling the foot, I love this, just to stretch that place out. If you do unfurl the foot though, you want to keep the foot right in line with the ankle. Sometimes we tend to tilt one way or the other. We want to keep equal stress on both sides of the ankle. From here, I'll invite you again. I like to use the fingertips for a little more space in the shape. Kind of a block without a block. Shoulder blades back and down. And then leading with the heart, arms in extension as you walk yourself back. Again, other options. If your forehead doesn't easily come to the floor, you can do a block without a block as we cross the forearms. You might do what we used to call potatoes in elementary school. Two soft fists. You might switch across to the fists every so often.
There's so much sensation in my hamstring.
It's interesting. Yeah, so you have open hips and tight hamstrings, which is okay. And that's why we do these shapes, is to feel, are my hips open, my hips tight, my hamstrings tight, are both my hips. I usually get the answer in my advanced age. Both my hips and my hamstrings are tight. I do a lot of yoga though, so for most, compared to most men, most people my age, my hips are really, really open. Having said that, they still get sore.
You want a medal?
I want a medal, and I do have the chest to finish. And again, the option would be to flip over on your back, doing that figure four shape. Again, always finding a shape that works for you. That's what the yoga practice is all about. It's not like we're posing for the cover of Yoga Journal. Anyway, so those of you on your back, you stay right there. You might rock it, you might wiggle it, do what feels right for you. Those of you in this position, let's walk the hands back in if they're an extension. We'll find a bent front arm on the knee side of things. Other hand goes off to the side. We pull back with that bent front arm as we breathe into our low back. And to be honest, if my knees are feeling good, it's one of my favorite sequences here. Getting into the hips, open heart, releasing any tension in the lumbar spine, working mindfully, don't overdo it. And then we can come back center, we can find that other forearm, other hand out to the side. We pull back with that forearm as we stretch it out. Now coming back center, let's ground down through two hands. We'll tuck the back toes. We'll lift up to our three-legged dog. Left leg high, give that knee a shake. Give you a slow shake, fast shake. Make sure it's the shape that works for you. Go right or wrong on this one. Make sure it feels good. And then ground it down through two hands, 2 feet. Long spine, easeful breath. And one more opportunity this afternoon, either stay right where you are, cycle through vinyasa. Eventually, I'm going to cue a child's pose. So again, you might just find that child's pose right off the mat. And now I'll suggest we all find a child's pose as we land those knees on down, sits bones back to the heels. I'll invite you to nestle your belly in between your thighs as you breathe in, letting your belly massage your thighs. As you breathe out, letting your thighs massage your belly. In our child's pose, keeping hips and heels just as they are, I'll invite you to walk your hands to one side as you stretch far hip to far heel. Now walking your hands through center and finding that side bend the other way. Now walking hands through center, let's walk our hands in And most of us have a habitual side that we go to all the time. Try to identify that as we bring our feet off to one side. I tend to go to the right and go to the left here. From here, two long legs in front, hands behind. I invite you just to give those legs a little wiggle. And that swan or that pigeon can be, even if you have young knees always appreciate consideration. So let's bring a hand to each side of one knee, warming it up, thanking it for its hard work. Thank you, knee. Fingers find the back of it. Exploring that place, how often do we connect with the back of our knees? And then giving the kneecap a little wiggle, encouraging a little more circulation, a little more prana into connective tissue that keeps our knee intact. Other side, a knee, a hand on each side. Fingers find the back of the knee. And then giving that kneecap a little bit. From here, let's come onto our backs. I'll demo this way to do it. There's lots of ways to get there. I'll suggest a roll down starting from neutral or tall spine, finding C-spine as we roll ourselves. Make sure you got some room overhead as we find a full body stretch, pointing fingers and toes. And then sweeping your hands by your side as you widen your thighs, scooting your head back as you flatten your shoulders. Do whatever else feels right and good for you this afternoon. Tip of the tongue is now neutral in the mouth. Now a slight part to the lips. Still breathing in and out. Here. Shavasana is a very interesting shape. It's not sleep. The idea is it's conscious relaxation without that consciousness being focused on any particular thing. Again, another way through the lack of effort, or through removing of effort, to connect with everything around us. Positively through surrender. Through surrender. At home, feeling free to hold your Shavasana as long as you like. I find after 15 or so minutes, usually I like a 22-minute Shavasana. We can talk about that later. At about minute 14 or 15, I get this intense or immense sense of relaxation, which feels really nice. And I'm still awake, sort of. Here in this room, I'm going to ring these bells 3 times. Those of you at home, feel free to hold your Shavasana. For the purposes of this class, Josephine, I'll invite you to move your mind before you move your body. Just bring your attention back to your breath, watching as it flows in. Without watching your breath, and I'd like you to add a shaping to your breath. And we'll vary that ratio between inhalation and exhalation as you find a long, slow inhalation in with a longer, slower exhalation out. Towards a more relaxing breath. Now inviting more prana, more life force into your body as you gently wiggle your fingers. Now gently circling the wrists and ankles. Invite you to add a little shimmy of the shoulders, a little shimmy of the hips, whatever feels right and good for you. Connecting with your feeling body. Moving towards Apanasana, we draw one knee at a time in towards our heart. Our hands catch our shins, and using our thighs to massage our low belly, our center of balance, as we gently lift and lower the low back.
Now grounded down through your sacrum, I invite you to circle those knees. Taking those knee circles the other way. So we're actually circling the hips. Now back to center, gently rocking it from side to side. And then rolling towards your right, stretching long through the right arm. Letting that arm serve as a cushion for the head as we share a long, slow breath here on the floor. I'll invite you to let that breath sigh out through your mouth. Soften your shoulders, relaxing your jaw, softening the corners of your mouth. And then neck relax, face soft, press on up to find the cross-legged sit. As we sit, I'll invite you to bring your hands onto your knees, pulling back with your hands to sit up a little straighter, a little taller. A slight tuck of the chin as 5 fingers of one hand find the ground. The palm of the other hand faces the sky. Ending our practice as we start, watching as our breath flows in and as our breath flows out. From this place of breath awareness, I invite you to bring your hands to your heart and bow as you thank yourself for practicing yoga and as we offer our practice out to each other and to the world. Namaste. Thank you all for practicing with us. Thank you, Josephine, for practicing with me. Feel free to comment and try to do this noontime class on a regular basis. It mimics a noontime class I taught before things shut down. And in about 5 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, 6 or 7 minutes, I'm going to do a restorative session for about 50 minutes. Much more chill. Most of the poses you're held for 4 or 5 minutes. Pretty much I'm on the ground, the camera's on me. And then I'll cue you out of it, and we'll do the other side, or we'll do the next shape. But it's a nice practice. Very popular, very relaxing. A nice Friday practice. Anyway, we'll see you all next time.